Hey friends, great to be in your ears and on your screens today, and welcome to another episode of Evolve with Titans, where I sit with some of the best minds in the industry and decipher the recipe for success. Today's Titan is very unique. An urban farmer, a women urban farmer who has started a revolution to put organic vegetables on your plates. Super happy to have you here, Archana. Being a weekend farmer myself and getting to experiment a lot of things in farming myself, I've always wanted to have you here and talk with you and get some tips. I want you to start by telling us all your journey. Like, how did you get into farming? And it's very rare to see women, urban women, get into farming. So I want to see, know the journey.
Thanks a lot, Amar. I've been watching you for so many years, and this is a wonderful initiative by you. About me, I hail from a village but grew up in the city. And I was always a very celebrated child because I scored well in school. I used to be like the topper. All stage shows, I would be there. Any competition, I'll be there. So almost every household will know me during school and likewise in college as well. But things changed in college. I actually wanted to be an IAS officer. In engineering, I chose geoinformatics. Over time, that IAS thought started declining. So I met a lot of social entrepreneurs at that time. I started NGO in college. And traveling to villages made me realize that IAS will put me into one small shell and I may not be able to do what I want. Like maybe I'll be getting transfers. So I dropped the idea, but I was still like cat on the wall. After college, like any engineering kid, raised in TCS, so I had a corporate life. Not so happy with the role, but 2 years it persisted, and then I quit that job, started my own company. The most best part of my college life was I found my life partner there. He was my classmate, and we were the ones doing all these NGO running after all these things. So we had a common dream, and that united us. So, yeah, I love you, Sona. We never know, but it's thing that he didn't join TCS, but he was part of a startup. So one day he came home and said, let's start a company. That's all. No MBA, no experience of business and all of that. We started a company, and that is my practical MBA. So my first startup was a failure for different reasons, but that learning pushed me to like pursue a different idea later, and that is myHarvest, what I'm doing now. But IT to farming, I think we spent another 8 years traveling, meeting people, being at the farm, and I also embarked on a travel journey called Jagrati Yatra. That's a turning point of my life, where I traveled across like 16, 17 states of the country, met a lot of social entrepreneurs, each of them in different sanitation, in waste management, some of them just in education. They all had one purpose of life. They were not IAS, they were not CM, they were not the PM, but everybody changed lives. So I had this question inside me saying, what am I going to do? What is that difference I want to make? And thankfully, I think what I'm doing right now is that difference. So myHarvest is the ultimate purpose of my life in the last 12, 13 years of experiments.
So, explain what is it being an urban farmer? What's your daily schedule like?
The joy of growing my own food, it was very close to me, and knowing that I'm having like a nature very close to me. Just growing greens was so therapeutic also, and my choices of food changed. So I was eating greens before, but now I know why I'm eating what I'm eating. I would also like cold on the I know there is Karpuravalli right there in my house, and I would appreciate the food I eat. Earlier I used to be wasting a lot of food, and I'm known for that. Like school lunches, I have never finished my food in that 45 minutes. So now I don't waste food, and that urban farmer thing is not just growing, but it helped me give a different perspective to food itself. So Kalyan, if I go to a marriage, I don't like, even if I put everything, I'll at least aviyal in a vegetable irukku. Is it seasonal also? So I don't ask for mangoes in a wrong season. And more than kiwis, I appreciate a Goa, which is local. So a lot of things changed after being an urban farmer.
In your journey, I see two things. One, the IAS preparation, which made you, pull into the social entrepreneurship, social responsible things. And then the main thing was the Jagrati Yatra, right? In many countries, actually, kids after high school, they actually go on a 1 year travel and all that. So the travel actually teaches a lot of things. So I want you to go a little deeper and tell us what changed in that trip and what made you jump into this.
For me, I was very curious to be a part of it because somebody else told about it. That's all. And in fact, it was not just learning about travel. I also learned about how nice it is to have nice people around. Okay, so I'll answer two parts of that question. First, about travel. For me, I was a very dependent child. My dad used to drop me at college, pick me up college. So I was not exposed much. Very dependent child. So when I travel, the world around me was very big. So some decisions that I was thinking was big was very silly. So meeting people and I like to talk to them. Even when I read books, it's not the regular books, but I like to read about people. I like having conversations. So in that trip, it was 450 people in a train from all states of the states. And even if I talk about Mahatma Gandhi, there are people who don't like him. There are people who like him. There are people who are like, "Adala." So I used to see him like an idol when I was just reading the history books. But now I know people sharing different stories around one common theme. And for me, I also, that Tamil without the surname, that was very special. I felt so odd about that. And then I saw one 25-year-old who was a sarpanch of a village. My God, I thought that is 40 years above would become village panchayat. So it opened up and said hope, and it threw a lot of possibilities in front of my eyes. So I was on a learning spree on that 15 days trip. We had a lot of fun and all of that was there, but we used to stay in that train. So 5% battery charge meant a lot. And that's just one bag, like backpacking trip Madri. We just had one bag and random stories, random friends. Today, if I travel, I can just call anybody in any state and say, I'm coming over, can I stay with you? So my limitations and expectations are all small, minimalistic, and
By the way, I applied for that many times. I never get it.
I got it the first time. But when I applied, Stalin was like, I will not pay 58,000 for it. And that is my second part of the story. I went in 2014, okay? So when I applied, first time, last day, now like application is getting over, tonight I'm working on it. So Stalin was like, I can't pay 58,000 rupees and I can't tell this to my in-laws. I was not talking to my parents at that time, so I couldn't, there's no one else to ask. I applied. I got through, then thankfully I had a scholarship or something. So 50% pay panna podu. I was supposed to pay 28,000. And that again was huge. But that was the only thing on my head. So everyone I was talking about Jagrati Yatra because 10 days time was there. So first time I'm meeting an industrialist of Madurai. He came to a startup forum, getting introduced for the first time. He got curious, he liked me and Stalin. He called us to his office. Again, I'm talking about the same thing to him. He went, opened his cupboard, gave me cash of 10,000 rupees. And I'm like, why? I didn't ask for money. I was just sharing my story. And I don't know if I asked, saying like, I have this thing to do and all. And he gave 10,000 was the first. And then another 18,000 was there. That night I went back, I'm chatting with Mahesh Murthy. I think he got introduced through Thai, some startup thing. And on Facebook, about 1 hour of conversation. I'm telling about Jagrati, he's asking question after question. And next day he's like, are you serious? You want to go? And I say yes. He asks for my email, he asks my bank details. I get 18,000 from him. In 3 days I got the money.
So this is another question that I wanted to ask. So you decided to quit TCS because you didn't like it after 2 years. But then from that time to actually starting a venture, there were 8 years, right? How was that, and what did you do for living? And what aspect of those 8 years made you who you are?
What comes straight from my head was investing on learning. I was not investing like I wanted to make money. I was not chasing money. That was one thing. So after TCS, I started a company 2 years, then it crashed. I was working as part of another organization which was working on entrepreneurship. So I took a very minimal salary. So that was enough for sustenance, and Stalin wasn't working. So one of us were working, one of us were experimenting. So a lot of times Stalin was taking care of experimenting a new idea while I took up a job. There were 2 instances of that case. So Stalin was doing some idea, and then both of us were again wanting to come back. And I joined Naturals. I was the marketing head with CK Kumaravel, and that was a phenomenal learning. Like having a mentor in the same office, the learning curve was very, very steep with Naturals. And then one day he knew that I'm going to quit any day to start my own. But when I went and opened it, he was like, okay, yeah, please. So 2016, I quit Naturals. By then, we knew that Stalin But in the meanwhile, when I was with Natural, Stalin figured out the terrace garden model. He was into farming. So we both complement each other in terms of skills and also a lot of
The finances and all that.
So we said, okay, I wanted to go full time because everybody asks this question. Survival is important. Where will you get money? So I used to work many times and we used to put up some money and then both called it off at 2016 and since then it's been only myHarvest.
When you started, what is the idea?
Actually, the idea of myHarvest was out of my experience because I enjoyed the terrace gardening phase. So today it's myHarvest Farms, but before this farming thing, I was helping families set up terrace garden. So everybody was growing.
So that was the first idea.
That was actually a part of this myHarvest Farms. It was like piloting phase.
Setting up
terrace gardens was something I did for like 1 year, close to a year. More than 180 families, and I was experimenting this farming idea. Before announcing this, we were doing that as a pilot. So all these 180 families liked the idea of eating naturally grown food. They were all on the lookout for healthier alternatives and all of that. But it was definitely difficult to manage a garden. So the limitations of space, of knowledge, and also time to maintain all of that was clearly there. The eureka moment came when I figured all these are there with the farmer. He has space, he has the time, he has the knowledge. But that guy is not able to make a living out of it. What if I connect them both? So as a farmer, this was a eureka. I tried to connect this and that's how myHarvest Farms was born. In 2018, we launched this and before the launch, I casually met up with Ratish SPI and he said, when are you going to give me the payment details? I'll pay right away. I'll become your first customer. Next 3 months, my vegetables are from you. I didn't even launch it. Name kuda vekkala. And then we quickly, I spoke to like a lot of my friends. After he gave me that boost, I spoke to a lot of them. Many were interested. So myHarvest Farms was formally launched in June 8, 2018.
As a service that...
as a service where there is one farm and the people like were signed, first 20 families signed up. For all of these 20 families, from my farm I will grow and my team will grow and we will deliver every week. That was the first promise of 4 months. But again, there was a lot of learning from that 4 months. So we figured that this farm was at Tiruvallur. Tiruvallur is a very, very agricultural area. Water is not a problem. Everything was fine, but the kind of vegetables you get from Tiruvallur are all these native vegetables. Brinjal, lady's finger, kovaka, pavaka and all these types. But people in the city, we've gotten used to carrots, capsicums and we can't live without cauliflowers. And all these need to come from Ooty. So the first month we were giving all my families what was growing at this farm and then they also got a little messy about the same variety coming. We told them we are expanding, we'll travel across. And then we found farmers in different regions and in the second month onwards, we were able to get them variety. But we were consciously telling them we'll get you local, seasonal and fresh. So since the day one till today, we don't stock anything and whatever is seasonal is there at myHarvest Farms.
So now you have a network of farmers.
Yeah, we have over 140 farmers today across like 5-6 districts of Tamil Nadu.
So 8 years trying different things and then finally getting into one thing and then coming up with an idea and then even after that pivoting into something else. So there has been always this jump from one thing to the other from the learning that you got, right? But honestly, for me from an outside, right, like it actually it's very stressful and very fearsome, right? How was it? What are the learnings that you can tell us from those time?
So every time, I think the dedication to that idea was same. Sometimes it was, I think it was clearly the efforts didn't fail. Maybe that it was too early for the idea or it was the way we executed and all of that, but I was believing in that effort. We gave it 100% and then it's not working, but what is the right thing to do and we pivoted. So we never felt connected to that how changes. What of it was always the same, why of it was always the same, so that how much to change panla and that's okay. As long as the stakeholders aren't affected badly. So when this happened, always it was in concurrence and I always believed in crowdsourcing, crowdfunding and being part of that community. Even in my NGO when we started, just going to clean a pond was not like somebody coming and doing it. Talk to the people locally, let's everybody do it. Appada, the maintenance of that will be there. So when the ideas came, pivot happened, everything it was like involving the people who were part of the idea. So today myHarvest is actually a community. I wouldn't even call it like an e-commerce platform. I
so
never thought about it.
Having a community helped
Definitely.
come out of the stress.
Come out of the stress, talking out to them, having an idea, like a sound system, whatever you call it, like community is, I draw inspiration from people around me, and that community is that. Like I have fellow entrepreneurs who we jam with, so everybody, it's not only me. Like when we have, like we meet over dinner, we all talk about it, and all of us are entrepreneurs. Some of them are running chain of tea outlets, some of them are running e-commerce, someone into digital marketing and all of that, but problems were similar. And we were able to ask out for help, or like if somebody launches an idea, you definitely have 20 shout-outs coming from that community of friends. So I think the community, because family, they have no idea what we're doing. First generation entrepreneurs, no contacts. My dad, I mean, he passed away in second COVID wave. So he would always ask, so many people are working with you. Are you sure you're taking care of them? Where are you getting the money? Are you sure? Are they safe? Don't cheat your customers. They're all believing you and getting organic. So he had so many questions and doubts all the time. So the pressure is always there, and it is going to be there.
How big is your team now?
Today we are about 40 people.
Oh, wow.
Part-timers and full-timers together.
Okay. What are the learnings from naturals that really helped you in your endeavor? And also, is it important for somebody to just work somewhere and then for some years and then get into this?
Definitely, I'll answer the second part first. It's okay to work and then be an entrepreneur. But for some, the first venture itself might have clicked. When you're ready, you should. And just thinking about the area, whether it be perfect, there's never going to be a perfect moment. So working somewhere is always, but working and learning, is there space for learning, is something that they have to figure out. Like if that learning is not going to help them shape their idea, then that may not. Like I worked in TCS, and today when I look back, I didn't learn anything there. I got a comfort zone salary there, but otherwise my learning was limited. But at Naturals, my first learning was, I was always under extreme pressure. Pressure because I didn't even know what I was supposed to work on. I'll meet CKK in the morning for like 5-10 minutes, and then my to-do would be like 20 items. He never assigned me any job. Like I will figure out things to do from the conversations and what's right for the business. And I didn't have an MBA in marketing, but he hired me for marketing. And even the first recruitment, I met him for 5 minutes. He said I wanted more women leaders, women entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, so I chose you. And then I was like, all this is fine, but I have not stepped into a natural salon. I have no idea about the business. Why are you recruiting me? He's like, if people from the same industry, they will work like horses with a kadivalam. I want you to bring a different perspective. If you can bring that, join me. Else you can take a call. Again, the baton was on me to say yes or no. It is very interesting for me at that point in time. So I said, okay, no idea about beauty, but I think if you give me a business and run it, I will give it a try. And then he put another challenge in front of me and said, 100 days, if you don't make a difference in first 100 days of being here, then you will never make a difference. So first 100 days is key. Put your to-do list and work for the next 100 days. That's all. So I was like running my own business inside a company, getting a salary, and watching him like a mentor inside the office. And now you can experiment how my learning curve would have just been different. And the craziest thing is, I have not done all these live shows or marketing things. In my startup, my thing was like low budget marketing. And here I am handling radio channels, I am handling TV ads, newspaper ads, and without any experience.
So how did that help in your in the future entrepreneurial journey?
He gave me the freedom to make mistakes. So here I do the same. So here, when I do a thing, I don't spoon feed, and that doesn't come to me too. So when I talk to people in my team, I'm like, this is what is expected. Do it your way, but end result is this. So I'm able to experiment with people's new perspectives, like how he encouraged me and trusted me. So the trust is something I learned and I'm applying here. Second, he was not very logic driven. He was more of intuition driven. I wouldn't say logic driven, it's intuition driven. So here again, I am more like, if I like it, do it. If you're going to put too much logic, then you will never get started only. So both of this I apply here. And lastly, he always says dream big. So when I think of an idea, what if this was Ambani's son, how will he think of this idea, and how big can you think about it? So it could be actioning small, but thought is always big.
What's the dream for myHarvest Farms for the next few years?
For now, it's here, but I'm solving a global problem. I'm solving a global problem of safe food. So I want towards the over a long, I mean, after 10 years or so, maybe we should be on the world map at different places, having communities in different places. And my vision, kata Bill Gates mari solnom appadina. Bill Gates, when he started Microsoft, he said every table should have a Microsoft lab. So I'm saying every plate of food that you see across the world should not have any chemicals. We all deserve good food, right? So I want to see that place where you don't have to worry about what you eat. We all work for food.
So, a part of your life under the mentorship, it went well. But now you're running your own thing. You have a team to run. There's so many things happening, right? How do you take time off, or how do you take time to nurture the entrepreneur in you?
That is a continuous education. So there's never like I knew this.
Do you do anything specific?
I sign up for workshops, and I also join any forums I come across. Sometimes it may be related to what I do. Sometimes it is completely not related to what I do. But I still want to understand that side of the world and see if there is one little cue I get. Like some of the forums we go to are not completely farming or entrepreneurship. But there, if you meet somebody and listen to their talk, you will feel that what if I apply this? And I believe in connecting the dots. So I don't like question too many things before signing up for any workshop or so. There's definitely going to be one learning. What is that is only my end of the workshop thing. So today, currently, like 2021, I finished Goldman Sachs 10,000 program for women, which I never was on my roadmap. But it came all of a sudden, and I applied and I got out of like 800 women. Second, I was selected for Acumen Accelerator for agriculture, and that is the first batch. Thankful again for that learning, and now I'm doing an Acumen leadership fellowship. So there I have like 20 people who are doing extraordinary work in their own spaces, and I'm learning from them. So peer learning has been something outside of my regular work.
It's amazing, especially when an idea becomes successful, we become busy, and then the education part actually goes down drastically. When we are starting something new, right, we are trying so many things, we are learning so many things, but as we go up the curve, the education actually comes
Very
down.
true. And having a co-founder helps. So
Wow.
I definitely have to give a lot of credit to Stalin because he runs the day-to-day operations when I'm not there.
Okay.
So that helps, and learning is part of the day-to-day work. Like Ratish is a customer and he shares so many things. So there is so many outside our existing team that we can also learn from.
Another question I also wanted to ask you is, how is it to run as a couple? Because I've not personally seen a lot of business that are like super successful, started by couple, right? So how is it?
It's like a double-edged sword. So that was also one learning from naturals. I used to see CKK and Veena work.
Okay.
For me, I would say it actually has a lot of pros. There are cons, but more than the cons, I would first talk about the pros because he doesn't see me a different 9 to 5 a different Archana after the different Archana. It's always the same Archana. So, and he can understand why I'm thinking what I'm thinking or what mood I am in. So we do have common problems to solve many a times. So it helps that way, and my aspiration wise, he can just boost me up. You are the best thing to do, and we know each other a lot, and even when times of argument, being a couple helps us stay connected. So there could be a worst argument at office for business, and we generally have that. But end of the day, what brings us back to normalcy is the bond that we share as a couple. So pros, we don't have to convince a lot of people. Like my house can be messy, and he understands that. Maybe if he was from a different field and his expectations are different, I would have had trouble there.
Okay.
I think encouragement, confidence in, I don't have to worry about what others are thinking or what he's going to think. So I'm just being myself, being as a couple entrepreneur.
Seeing you, I also feel that there should be a lot more women getting into, urban farming and, agriculture. Do you do anything specific to inspire more women getting into this? Are there any programs that women can sign up for, or is there something like that?
So right now don't have a structured program, but since 2020 during the lockdown, I experimented this online workshop model. So we wanted to do like sessions for beginners and grow it yourself, because many of the women are interested, but the first thing they would say, I don't have the time. And then I tell them in the workshop, it's just 10 minutes. It's just watering time that you have to invest, and you can do it while you brush your teeth and all of that. So I do some workshops at the moment, but we don't have a structured program. But for the women in the village, we've done a lot more to bring them into the system.
Can you elaborate on that?
So if you look at the rural side, actually agriculture is done by more than 80% of women. But often I get this question in the city, how does it feel to be a woman doing farming? I'm like, no, there are so many people out there. But there, they're not given the recognition they need. Or even in terms
Wages
of
also,
wages, I hate to pay a lesser amount of money for the same time of work they've given. And the kind of work women have been doing and the men have been doing are different. Like all the bending jobs were women jobs in farming. Here we don't do that. Like everybody does the same. Men also bend, women also bend. So like that, we have tried to, as much as possible, not have the gap in wages. And now when we started value-added products, like our pickles are made by an amazing mom. She has been doing pickles all her life. But now getting so much raising reviews for her, so people are asking for more and appreciating her, wants her to do more. And when people come to the farm and meet them, they are like, oh my God. Like it's the same lady's finger she's been growing, but when they come and talk to her and she says, this is my farm, my lady's finger, I took 45 days and all of that, the conversation of farming with the city person gives her a lot more confidence to do more farming. And our women make kamarkat, all these sweets from coconut balls. So it's the same thing, but a value-added product is helping them earn better and also feel recognized. Recognition is, I think, a very, very big difference, I would say.
But also, two things here. When I keep traveling and go to places where there are crafts, and I sit with them, talk to them, and then see if we can do some design intervention and all that. But it is very tough to change their mindset. Like, less sir, varad sir.
Very, very
no sir, idu varave varadu. You cannot do this. அப்படினு சொல்லிடுவாங்க. So how do you, even with farmers, I'm assuming it's the same.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
Someone external from the community can't go to a place and say, dude, this is right. I know better than you. That thing will always come for them in front. Like even farming, first 1 year you need to be accepted by the local community, because even for a tractor or anything, you'll have to, like any knowledge locally, we have to be part of. So that acceptance vandadukapram, it's fine. And also it's because of the political structure. They've always been treated by many people before you. You were not the first person to offer help. They might have got before and they would have trusted, and that may not have gone to the next step. So it's not against you now. It's a system that they have to break and then believe you. So that believing is, I say, that first year. Okay, and second, I have a tata working at myHarvest. Okay, so he used to be like, Chani todave matar. And I'm like, Chani is based for natural farming, and he never used to. But when Stalin used to do it, and then when he saw results, when there was pest, he was like, DAP edinga sir, adu edinga sir, idu edinga sir. Appuram we say turmeric use pannunga, asafoetida use pannunga, and then he would do it because we asked him to do it. But the faith of, he has done this 10 years ago. It's not the first time he's hearing about all these things, but he wouldn't believe in it. After results come, one time we took him to another farm in Trichy, and there he was staying with Stalin for 2 days. Appo that person is saying, for my chicken, when they fall sick, I'll give them small onions, I'll give them turmeric. This fellow was like, and this tata is like, எங்கள் ஃபேமிலி நாங்கள் அதுதான் சார் பண்ணுவோம், நீங்கள் தெரியாதா, பூச்சிக்கு வெறும் மஞ்சள் ஊற்றினா போதும், இப்படி அப்படி அப்படி அப்படி. And he saw validation, simple. When Stalin said, it was building trust. When another third person says that, he's like, oh, this is the right thing to do, and he became like a trainer there. So I think the faith is a problem. So it's stereotype which has happened for several years, and social conditioning, which is taking time for us to break. We were the only organic farmers. Today we have 13 people doing it. And it has taken 3 years. But once the momentum comes and something is happening, people will follow.
And also you're into something which is so unpredictable, right? Like and there are so many external factors, like nature, and wild animals, just suddenly things going wrong, right? And then pests, all that. Most of the times we end up spending a lot of money doing the same thing again and again, right? And then also it's, most of the time it is double work. You do the first thing and then do it again. How do you handle this?
One, again, the community is the answer, but before that, yeah, we are solving a lot of variables. So it's not like, and even till today, people don't advise
Which are
me.
not under your control.
Yeah, you're not under our control. And some things can't be standardized. How will you grow? People ask me, you can't scale, why are you doing this? Scale is there, but for me right now, the problem is I want to solve this. So, answer is for the farmers as such, I would say they're all serial entrepreneurs. If you look at us, if we try one idea and if it doesn't work, we'll move on to the next idea, next idea. But here, farmland is their only asset, and they don't want to give it up. So if somebody from the city just went and started doing farming, within 3-4 seasons they would have wrapped it up or sold the land and come.
Yeah.
But for generations, they believe that they can do it.
They can get up. So it's like almost failing, getting
one
up,
season I will
getting
make
up.
for it. This season didn't come, but next season I will make for it.
It's like hope, right? Like
Hope it's very, it's a big bubble. Only now it's burst by all these real estate and all of that. But I have also not seen any natural farmer commit suicide. Okay, most of the chemical farmers only have done this. So now I believe a lot in natural farming, and at this point in time, for me, all these variables are going to be there. Some of them are in control and we can at least predict them. So I have to like invest on learn technologies to do all of that. But before that big devil, there are small things which are in control. So this land will give me results for 8 months.
But I want to take an analogy of this and put it elsewhere, because you are into something where many times you will fall down, right? Like suddenly your farm was burned down once, and then we had so much rain last 3-4 months. My friend Kirba's farm just got flooded, and then they couldn't do anything. And they did a huge activity just 4-5 months before, planting like 400-500 trees.
Same story.
400-500 trees, right? So now you're losing money, you're losing time, and then on top of all this, that discouragement, right? Oh God. And then you have to get up in the morning.
And that is why I was talking about farmers while answering the question. So for me, the discouragement is more, but for them, this is part and parcel of farming. And the answers are, if they were to do regular farming like paddy, their harvest only twice or thrice a year, maybe. And they've invested like 10 months of their year growing, nurturing plants, and only 2 months they were harvesting. So for them, 10 months of hard work has always been that
in
DNA. And in the 10 months, if there was a flood or a drought, they were faced it. All the risk was on the farmer. That is what I've removed. In our myHarvest model, I've removed that risk and reduced it.
Okay.
So first, they do all of my farmers do multi-cropping. They just don't grow one crop all along. So it's like 10 cents of lady's finger, 20 cents of another greens.
Okay.
And one thing or the other has to give them income. The greens are very easy to grow. 25 days, harvest begins. So if it was paddy, 4 months after they will harvest. Now they're starting harvest right away. Vegetables, weekly twice they will pluck. So some income, like a fluid income, is coming week after week and not just after 4 months or 5 months. So we make sure there is some sustenance in the way they do farming, and we have cut down the cost of farm inputs. Like farming, the problem with chemical farming, I would say, is when they buy a seed, there would be like one vaccination chart for babies. Madri, 14th day do this, 20th day spray this, 35th day do this, and all of that, which is not in the control of a farmer. But the farmer really has knowledge. He knows.
See, I can relate to what you're saying, because even in Studio A, right, like wedding photography is one stream, and then we do several other things which kind of takes us through.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't have any project for 2-3 months. And then, so when you were talking about multi-grain.
True. So they were able to also make some money with eggs. So eggs alone is like first 5-6 months, the chicken will not give eggs. But every week you have so many eggs coming. So there's some revenue coming.
So what do you think is the future of these urban farming movement that is happening right now?
The future is a consumer-driven movement, because a lot of the flaws of the earlier food safety is also consumer-based. Because people expected shiny vegetables, people expected things to be always fresh. So I think today's consumer is more information-driven, more aware, and looking for things which are close to the roots, close to And they're also worried about the next generation having a better environment, better future and all of that. So I think it's more consumer driven, and I am driving a consumer change. For this, my biggest partners are my farmers. So my farmers, I don't want them to sell their land anymore. Selling is okay, but if you look at it, they're selling topsoil alone. That is giving them money. When they sell the topsoil to a brick owner, they're getting money, and that money is good to do one marriage. Another marriage in the family, they'll sell the entire land. Okay, I'm like, and then they all go for menial jobs for 8,000 rupees in a different city. Their entire family's asset is gone. So I'm like, what if you can make 15,000 from that land? For 10,000 elsewhere, losing your land, losing your family, everything. Now I'm going to give you 15,000 to 25,000 from your own land for the same effort. You also get good food. You're also feeding good food. You live a happy life. So my ultimate goal is to create healthier families, happy farmers, and a sustainable future. Like environment, planet, and all that bioenzyme, composting, crafts.
But see, people around my farm, right? Like I interact with them and all that, but none of them want their kids or their second
Same
generation.
here. Nobody encourages
nobody
the next
wants-
generation. The
Yeah.
guys working with me were all brought up saying, நான் கழனியில் கஷ்டப்பட்டது போல நீ இறங்காத, நீ படிச்சுட்டு ஊரை விட்டு போயிரு. Everybody has, all my farmers have engineering, they have engineering degree, they have a BCom, BA, history. They all studied. And this part was, I'm not talking on like in the heroes and celebrity dialogue மாதிரி நான் வந்து mass statement பேசல. What I'm talking is these farmers. Like we did a documentary shoot 2 years back. Appo when they were asked why are you doing this, one of my farmers, Elumalai, he was like, ஏன் நிலத்தில் நான் ராஜாவாக இருக்கேன், நான் எதுக்கு போய் 40 கிலோமீட்டர் வண்டியில் போயிட்டு காடை பஞ்ச் பண்ணிவிட்டு 10,000 சம்பளத்துக்கு அறக்க பறக்க ஓடி ஏன் வேலை செய்யணும், என் நிலத்தில் எனக்கு 12,000 வந்ததுன்னா என் இஷ்டத்துக்கு எந்திரிப்பேன், எங்கள் வீட்டு நாயோட நான் விளையாடுறேன், எனக்கு டிராக்டர் ஓட்ட தெரியும், எனக்கு இது
but how do we instill this pride, Archana? Because they actually make more money, but they don't want to sit in front of the fire. They want to sit and do all this work. But they're okay with going to a BPO, dressing up well, going to a AC place and earning
and
actually
that is
lesser.
the recognition missing. That's the first consumer change I was talking about. Today, why do they pay that extra money? Like organic, why are they able to pay that extra money? Is because they appreciate that effort. So consumer and knowledge are the two words. If we can crack this out and there is money there, nobody will come out of their village. People living in Chennai today are not Chennaites. They all came here for survival. If they could make the same 25,000 salary in their village and there is a livelihood, they are going to inspire other people. Do it
I
as a
think we're in the
community.
transition
But I think that's why the community is a big power. Like these families traveling, and we had an event where farmers were there. 100 families were there. A lady from Kolkata, she lives here in Tiruvannur. She met that Ramurthy farmer and was like, "Unga mirchi, wow!" That's all that guy is now inspired to do mirchi. So for them,
You have to put that pride back.
I think farmers are looked up today as an old man with a sad face, as like suicides. We put them in a very bad light, and they also are already in a bad light. So they feel they are all a failure. If we can tell them that farming is glorious and we make them believe it's glorious, at one point they will start becoming glorious too.
See, this takes me back to we should stop sharing all these suicide stories.
No, that should be there. Real stories should be highlighted more.
Or no, my point is all these glorious stories should be highlighted more.
Yeah, that's right. It should. That's why your stories I'm saying are very inspiring. Like you're doing a lot in crafts. Some people are interested in crafts. There should be more people like Amar doing this. Only when 100 people talk, we think, oh, something is there. So for people to even recognize that, you need the voice to be louder. Same with women. Women in entrepreneurship, women in farming. There might be awesome women doing a lot of good work out there. But to find them out and bring them to a platform and then talk about them, and I read about 10 women, I'm going to be inspired. I want to be one of them.
So we are at the tail end of the interview. What is that one thing that you want people to take away from your journey, from the myHarvest journey?
So for me, it's about that difference I started out saying. So there was one difference. If I'm not in this world physically and they should remember me, they'll be like, Archana was smiling, Archana did this, and no one can do like her. So no one, it's not about being an expertise. I'm just saying she was awesome and there's one thing attached to me. Today, the brand that we are building for ourselves, for me, it's like something social. She was like helping the farmers, or it was
Transforming lives.
transforming lives. So that definitely I want to, and I don't want to just die off, because I've seen some people be there and then in 4-5 years faded off. So I want to create some small catalyst here and there. So people after me should be doing it, and that's why I work with schools. At schools, I have these, I said knowledge and consumerism, right? And these people are the future consumers. So I work with schools, I do these workshops, I help them dig the soil, sow the seeds, learn and all of that. So whatever has made me curious, I'm trying to teach to the next generation so that there is a legacy of Archana.
Good luck for that. Good luck in transforming so many more lives and touching more lives.
Thank you, Amar.
It was wonderful having you. I'm like super excited, and I'm like having so many ideas run through my mind.
Let's actually.
Yeah, thank you so
Amar.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.